This week on the WriterCon podcast,
I get asked this quite a bit, and one of my top pieces of advice is don't rush the process. Practice your craft. Get your craft down so that when you enter this this very competitive ring, that you can be a contender.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Your hosts are William Bernhardt, best-selling novelist and author of the Red Sneaker books on writing, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland Files book series.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. Thanks for joining us. Well, big announcement from me today, although I've been teasing this for a couple of episodes. I was supposed to wait until there was an official announcement in Publishers Lunch, because that's a big deal in the book world, I guess, but it's out now. So I'm free to talk about my forthcoming book, which is a real change of pace. This is nonfiction titled The Superman Wars, The Battle for Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Now, as we're recording this, the new Superman movie is about a week away. So I'm not going to get close to that. Sorry. Enjoy the movie and then come back next summer when my book is released so you can learn where this character came from. It's a book I've been writing and researching for a long time. We're taking a deep dive into the life of Jerry Siegel, the writer, the 17-year-old 11th grader who came up with the idea for Superman, brought in his best friend Joe Shuster to draw it. Superman was the first superhero and launched an entire genre, which is obviously still very popular today. Plus, he created a boom for the barely off the ground comic book industry, which is, of course, also huge today. But sadly, Jerry found himself severed from his character by his publishers and out of work, which led to 7 decades, yes, 7 decades of litigation. This sounds like a book maybe somebody with a legal background should be writing. Also, somebody geeky enough to really love Superman. So watch for that summer of 26, though I'm sure I'll be talking about it constantly between now and then. And I've got another thriller coming out between now and then, too. But now you know the big secret I've been working on. Now, Lara, you're somebody who has actually read an early draft of this book. And you are not, would it be fair to say, remotely interested in comic books?
Maybe remotely.
So I won't ask you if you liked it. Some people might feel you're not completely objective there. But did you learn anything from reading it?
Gosh, yes. It reads, I love documentaries, and I like true crime, which isn't necessarily this, although it is kind of a crime how they were treated, in my opinion. So yes, this reads like a documentary. It was fascinating. It was very gripping. When I wasn't reading it, I wanted to get back to it that evening so I could see what happened next. And I'm still thinking about it. I still think of the characters in it, the people in it. They're not characters, the people in it. Almost like someone that I knew and I am.
And cared about.
Yeah, cared about. And I was very unhappy with how they were treated. And I think most people can probably connect with that, being that underdog and wanting better.
Right. Wow, that's why it's the Superman Wars. Jesse, just so you know, I was thinking about doing this in the Lucasfilm universe, but the Star Wars wars just didn't sound right. So.
Well, I like how, like the fight over Superman set a precedent for every other comic book character that also seemed to have a lawsuit between its original creator and then other people.
It is literally only because Jerry and his family kept fighting that eventually, many years later, other comic book creators like Jack Kirby and others started to see some justice.
Yeah, I mean, it happened with Batman too, right?
Similar story with Batman, but we'll save that for a different pod. Right. After I write that book, then we'll come back.
The Batman Wars.
But it's touched on in this book. I can say I know about that because it's touched on.
Bob Kane benefited because Siegel and Shuster went first, put it that way. Oh, okay, this is the time of year when we always focus on our annual writing conference, WriterCon, which is Labor Day weekend at the Hilton Skirvin in Oklahoma City. If you listened to the last podcast, you heard us interview Laurie L. Dove, best-selling author of Mask of the Deer Woman, and she's keynoting at the conference. And today, in this episode, we're chatting with another WriterCon keynote speaker. See, we have one at the end of each of the 3 days of regular sessions. And on Friday, you're going to hear from Nove McBee. Nova is the author of a young adult action adventure series called Calculated. 3 books have been published so far to great acclaim, and there's a film adaptation of the first book currently in pre-production, but we will talk to Nova about all that and much more. But first, the news. News story number 1. As a preface, I should point out that last episode we took a very deep dive into AI, and now we're all sick of it. So no one is allowed to mention AI today, okay, team? If you do, you have to put a quarter in the swear jar or something like that. Our lead story this time is much happier news. BookCon will return in 2026. I'm particularly excited about this. I think this is great news. Just to be clear, this is not the same as Book Expo, which is the annual trade show for professionals in the industry. This is for fans. This is the equivalent of a Star Trek or comic book, a fan convention, but for people who like to read. This show started, I think, in around 2014 or so, but it disappeared during the pandemic and never returned. But now it's back, baby. April 18th to 19th in 2026, going back to New York City and the Javits Center. Lara, you and I have been there a couple times, right?
Yep.
It is the best convention space in the world, and they're going to have book signings and discussions, book club meetups, workshops on sprayed edges, a hot topic these days. They're having a fantasy ball and much, much more. And it's being hosted by Reed Pop, the same people who put on the annual New York Comic Con, which is now the most highly attended Comic Con in the USA. So they probably know what they're doing. What's motivating this, of course, is this huge surge with BookTok, the section of TikTok where people actually talk about books that has put many people and books on the bestseller list and basically has reshaped modern genre publishing. With many people on TikTok turning their book fandom into a profession, tapping into the energy and enthusiasm of legions of young readers. Laura, I think we should go. How about you?
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I mean, let's be honest. Any excuse to go to New York. We've gone to Comic-Con before and absolutely loved it. I enjoy a good convention. But
we will probably go again now that I have a Superman book to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yes, and we should. But now, book expo. Yes, a convention all about books. Of course, we should be there. I'm totally in. Plus, also New York City. Any excuse to get up to New York City.
Jesse, what would it take to get you out there?
Listen, as listeners and watchers of the show know, I might not be a writer, but I'm an avid reader. So I'm down. I mean, I guess it depends on which, who's coming to talk, maybe. But like a book convention sounds awesome. So
yeah, no, you're exactly who this is for. It's not professionals.
James Patterson's going to be there.
He's the speaker at Author Nation, in November, which is the new thing for essentially the self-published. And so why their speaker is the guy who is furthest from self-publishing on earth, I don't understand, but apparently he's doing that. So maybe he can come here too, but I doubt it. Okay, news item number 2. Here's a phrase I never thought I'd say before: Marginalia mania.
Nailed it.
Yeah, try and say that 3 times fast. I won't. Marginalia mania, which has gone big on the aforementioned BookTok, the part of TikTok where people talk about books. You already knew that, but how you're going to feel about this story depends on probably what kind of reader you are. I know some people would sooner die than actually dog ear a page in their books, much less write in the margins. I've got to admit that I have done both on occasion, like when I'm doing research or when I was studying for a test, and it didn't really traumatize me. But now people are doing it to their books and talking about it on BookTok or Bookstagram, which, as you probably already guessed, is the same thing, but on the Instagram world. They have got entire subgroups devoted to people talking about what they call tabbing, meaning annotating books. And the degree of intensity that some people bring to this is remarkable. Some book talkers have like color-coded systems where they go through highlighting their books, pink tabs or highlighters for the romantic moments, or blue highlighter for foreshadowing. Some people scribble in the margins when they're surprised, like holy smokes, I guess, or whatever, exclamation points, or they draw hearts around the really spicy or romantic passages. And apparently for some people, this annotation is just as essential to them now as sharing shelfies, that is, showing what's on their bookshelf, or writing reviews about books. Lara, does this sound like something you would ever do, or does this just sound like homework?
No, and I would never take away from someone's joy of experience reading a book. So if this is how someone enjoys it, they should absolutely do what makes them happy. But no, not for me. When I start reading, I just hop in and I read, and unless a textbook is different. So sure, when I was working on my degree, it might be a little different, but I'm just not one to write in a book. That feels wrong to me.
Well, I mean, when you were studying for your test, you underline things just, I think in part because the very act of underlining kind of causes you to think about it again, so you're more likely to remember it. But, are these people going to read these books a second time?
I don't know, but...
Or is it just that they're all book professionals now as influencers, and it gives them something to take a picture of?
That seems more likely to me. I just like to be submerged in a book. Like I just read it and experience it, and it's all in here. I don't need something external to be able to enjoy a book. But that's
who are they annotating it for? Themselves?
That's the thing. I think what Bill is saying, maybe it's to share it online. And the younger generation does so much more. Sharing images and memes and videos. They share so much more, not even necessarily on socials. I think that they text to each other a lot more. So they could have a group chat book club, and maybe that's kind of how they're discussing it. Remember, they were in COVID lockdown for a long time and had no choice but to move everything online. So maybe it shouldn't be a surprise that we're seeing this develop. But I think maybe also what you're thinking, Bill, that it's something to post on the socials and be able to share in that regard.
Well, what I like best about all of this, both of these stories relate to basically young people are reading books and talking about it because it's a cool thing now. And that makes me very happy. Okay.
Reading's always been cool.
Well, yeah, it's just that not everybody else knew it, but yes.
We knew it.
All right. Let's talk to Nove McBee. Nove McBee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
So glad you're here, and so glad you're coming to WriterCon this year, too. Okay, traditional first question. If you could offer writers one piece of advice, what would it be?
I get asked this quite a bit, and one of my top pieces of advice is don't rush the process. Practice your craft. Get your craft down so that when you enter this this very competitive ring, that you can be a contender. You can stand out. And so for me, I took years perfecting my craft, and learning about the industry, learning about which path I wanted to take. So when I stepped in, I got noticed really quickly.
That's a really great message to give to, because I think a lot of people, and kudos to you for having confidence, not you, but people in general, but then it doesn't happen overnight, because it almost never happens overnight in the writing world, and people get frustrated. Better to just don't expect it to happen overnight. Probably not the way it's going to work.
It
Learn
does
your craft.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing happens overnight. I worked years to perfect my craft. I waited years for an agent. But I did get noticed the day I started querying. I had top requests the day I sent out my
great?
Very nice.
Because I studied the industry, what a query should be, what a first chapter should be, what a book should be. And I excelled at just practicing and reaching that high standard. And, but it did not happen overnight. It took years to perfect those things, to learn those things. And then once I stood into it, this is the first book.
Yeah.
It has proven that taking your time matters, because it's won countless awards. It's going to film. It for me, I was like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't rush the process, because I had years of other books or other ideas. So yeah, that's kind of one of my top
great message. So I think you're currently in Seattle, right? But I read in your bio that you've lived, it says, more than half your life in the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. What's sent you traveling all around the world?
Oh gosh, that's such a long question. But
so you weren't collecting research for a book then?
Eventually I was, and I've done quite a few things. But I really believe we each have a very unique calling on our life, and that was mine. And I stepped into it. I was 18, already had a year of university under my belt, because I did an advanced program. So when I graduated high school, I was done. In a nutshell, I had no peace to just go straight to university. And I felt the voice of God saying, leave the country. And I did. And it was the best decision I ever had in my life. It sent me on the biggest adventures I could possibly. That's why I write adventure stories all over the world, Mission Impossible, because I have lived a life that I love. And I think it's just because that was what I was supposed to do. And I love languages, culture, food of all kinds, and really a fantastical life. I did go to college eventually. I did get a degree.
And probably all that travel has been more useful for your writing, but you never know.
Absolutely. And opportunities all over the world, and traveling and encountering different peoples and the way they think, worldviews, it sharpens you. It keeps you young. You're like a child, because you have to relearn all kinds of things. Like even like, how do you use the bathroom again? And what is that? Or how do you take the bus? Like, you're just constantly learning, and it's so good, I think, for the heart, for the brain, for just understanding people. It's been an amazing life.
Agreed. Okay. You were holding these up a second ago. Tell us about your trilogy, Calculated.
Yes. Calculated, simulated, activated. Well, as I mentioned, they're very much a Mission Impossible type series. Prodigies, high stakes, billionaires, smugglers, forbidden romance, love, family, loss. It has it all, and it takes place in, Shanghai and Seattle, because I'm from Seattle, Tunisia and Seattle, Finland and Seattle, and all over the world. The fourth one is, I can't disclose the location. It's secret for the fourth book.
Top secret, of course.
Yeah,
we'll get you back when that comes out. Okay. So you can talk about that.
I would love to talk about that. It is by far the most anticipated book of the series. But essentially the first book is Count of Monte Cristo meets Mission Impossible. So it's a math prodigy who can do things that no one else can do. And because of that, bad guys really want her. And then she has to understand why she even has this gift and how to use it, and find a way to escape. But a lot of things happen along the way, So.
Isn't that always the way with novels? Yeah.
This sounds absolutely brilliant. Like, what sparked this? Where did you get the idea for this series?
Well, I was living in China at the time, of course, because Shanghai and Seattle. And I was reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a fascinating classic. I don't know if you guys have ever taken the time to read it, but you're kind of mildly obsessed.
Took about a month, but yes.
It takes a while, and it takes you so deep into the psyche that you're like, you can't stop thinking about it for months. Like, it's sort of like you've binged this epic life. And I was sort of thinking about how similar it is to the classic story of Joseph in the Bible, right? You're betrayed. Then you're put into this place of power, and you have choices. Do I take revenge or not? Why was I there? Who am I? Why? Like, I thought I had a different life, and I was just putting these things together, and I was like, what would that look like if it was today? I was like, probably China, and like, it wouldn't be a boy, it would be a girl, and it would be traffickers, and it would be this, and it would be, and it was just like, who and why. And like, I really came up with that whole idea in a morning and just got obsessed. I wrote out an entire thing. And then to my pain, I decided the main character should be a math prodigy. And not being a genius. I didn't realize how I would ruin myself. Or I should say torture myself. I ended up doing countless hours. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of hours now on research of math. Later on we get into fractals, electromagnetic spectrum, satellites, you name it. And you can't have a simple plot with a genius character. So, I wanted her gift to be based on real math, real concepts, and you don't need math, but it's like the way she sees the world is super unique. And that was actually one of the biggest critiques I got from all over. It was like, this is the most unique protagonist we've seen in years. And that was what the movie producers said. They're like, she's so unique the way she sees the world. People are going to want to follow this character. But it took a tortured mind to do the research to make her realistic.
Well, you are very kindly referring to her as a math prodigy. I probably would have said math nerd when I read it. But yeah, that's not something that we usually tend to see. It's usually the cool person. And now you've said it even prompted a lot of research. I cannot even imagine that. Does that play into the plot? I mean, what was it that prompted you to think she's got to be this math prodigy for this to work? Or do we just have to read it and find out? Is there?
Well, first of all, you should definitely read it. I would love that.
Yes, definitely.
But her math is a huge, huge part of the plot, because the things that she can do with math is almost supernatural, right? She can predict things all kinds around her. She can predict things with math. And the things that's why these bad guys want her to basically enrich their empire. She has this incredible gift. But when she's taken, sort of like an Edmond Dantes type of moment, into this deep underground, because we're talking underground syndicates, bad guys, and she's taken to the lowest of the low. And she hates her gift at this point. She's like, why do I even have this? If I didn't have this, I wouldn't have this horrible life. I wouldn't be here ruining other people's lives.
Why was I born this way? Man, that's something we all relate to. Yes.
But she has to learn why she was given this gift, and how can she actually use it for good and not for evil. And it's an incredible transformation story. But we need to see the way she sees. And it's super, anything to like, she knows if a boy likes her or not using this gift, or if he's going to touch her, to like, I can determine what's going to win on the stocks. It's like, it's everything from small details to huge life details. And so it's super unique. And when we first shared this in Hollywood with like the different screenwriters, they were saying, this is the type of hero we want to see. We don't want to, this person doesn't need to blow up the world to save the world. Like, she's using her mind. And they just said, this is such a unique character today. So that was fun to hear. So.
Very nice.
Well, I mentioned, of course, earlier that you're coming to WriterCon this year. You're our Friday afternoon keynote, if I remember correctly, and I do, because I put together a schedule. But you're doing some other talks too, right? You remember any of your other topics?
Yes, I actually had it on my list over here. Of course, now my phone is nowhere to be seen.
Right.
I got it up
That's
on my
the way
phone.
it goes.
I have a couple different talks. I'm going to be teaching, obviously, on the craft of writing and publishing. I love talking about the craft. I love talking about becoming a contender in the publishing industry. My books are incredibly high stakes and fast paced, and I love teaching those tricks on how to build tension and suspense and mystery. So yeah, we have a lot of good stuff to talk about on WriterCon. I love talking with authors and writers of all kinds. So it'll be exciting and fun.
Fantastic. And you mentioned there's some kind of film activity going on with this series, right? Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. It's very public at this point. One Door Studios optioned the books, then they bought the rights to the books, then they started developing the screenplays, and now they're moving into production. And Belle Avery joined One Door Studios. One Door Studios has produced a lot of different kinds of movies. The different producers there, like Polar Express, Rocky Balboa, The Shack, Narnia, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. They have a long list of movies they've produced. And then Belle Avery, who produced the Meg franchise, she signed up to do the production. So it's moving quite quickly now. And they optioned all 4 books in the series. They love each one of them. And I mean, they are attempting to make this the next young adult franchise. And of course, in Hollywood, there's no guarantees.
Crossed.
Yeah, there are no guarantees in the film industry. There's no guarantees even in the book industry, but that's their goal. So it's exciting.
Very nice. How do you approach a new project? Do you work from an outline? We call it, are you a planner or a pantser? Do you identify with one of those?
I would say I'm very much a mix of both. I do love to plot. I have all the major beats in my head already. I know how the story is going to go. I know what's going to happen. But until I really, really find the emotion of the story, the beat, that emotional beat of the story, the deep themes of the story, which takes quite a bit of finagling, I'm a non-linear writer, so I write out of order. Sometimes I might write the end first. I might write a middle scene. I'll write a scene just to capture the emotion, because I need to understand the purpose of the story and the depth of the story. Really, an idea starts sparking, and if I can write some kind of an idea, and if it comes together quickly, I'll outline it. But then once I go in, I leave a lot of room for new ideas.
Oh yeah,
that
makes total sense. Yeah,
I do not lack for ideas. It's time to write them all.
I never understood why the main question is, where do you get the ideas? Get your ideas. How do you not? I just don't have enough time to write them all.
That's very relatable. Yes.
Yeah.
So speaking of finding the time to write, what does a typical writing day look like for you? Like, what is your process?
I'm an early bird. I would love to wake up before the sun. And so I'm a 4 a.m., 5 a.m. riser. That's where I get a lot of my writing done, a lot of my creativity. I do have 3 kids and a husband, and we do a lot of other things. So once the kids get out of school, I kind of stop. But then I will set aside time to leave the house for several hours, like at least 3 or 4 times a week, just to write in the afternoons for 2 to 3 hours as well. So. Okay. But I never write at night. My brain does not work at nighttime. So early morning or afternoon.
Yeah. Well, you can relate to that, Bill. That sounds like you.
I can. There's a point when, or maybe this is just my excuse, but I keep telling myself, no, this is not the time to write. You're tired. It's not going to be any good. Go to bed, get up the next morning.
Now deadlines are different. I 16-hour days for 30 days once to finish this one.
Were you slacking for 11 months, or what did it come down to the last 30 days?
It just, that is the way it is. I knew this book was so important to me. I could not turn it in until it felt right. And again, these books, if you read them or even read the reviews, you find that they're super layered and complex, and everything has to fit together perfectly to make it work. There's like my producer who's read them. They said there's no fluff. There's nothing unnecessary. Everything fits together perfectly. And as you know, that takes a lot of time. And I refuse to turn in a book until I know it's ready. And I'm a deep feeler until that gut instinct says this book is not ready.
I know. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you can read from beginning to end and nothing knocks you out of the story, and you get to the end and you think, there we go. There it is.
There,
yes.
And
I love that.
Until I felt that, and it probably wasn't 30 days straight, but it was a whole month of 16-hour days where I was waking up at like 3 a.m. and I was going until like 8 p.m. And then it was just, there were some days off in between, but this book, whoa, I don't know what happened.
But now you've got the book and it's great and you're holding it in your hands. So
and I love
worth it, right?
Yes, totally worth it because I love it. And I think all authors should take the time that they need so that at the end they say, I love this book. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, one last question. I'm going to ask what you're working on now or what we can expect next. I think you already hinted there's a fourth book in this series, but I think you've got some other irons on fire too, don't you?
I do. And it's sometimes hard to talk about because the fourth book is...
Give us a hint.
Yes.
Don't violate any contracts, but...
No. It's hard to talk about because I don't know when they'll be out. That's more the issue. Liberated is done. I got to share a couple excerpts with some very faithful readers, and that was super fun.
That's the fourth book in this calculated series, right? Okay.
Liberated. There's some fun goodies that will be released when that is released too. And all the readers know what they'll be. And then I'm also working on a new fantasy series and a contemporary series. And those one of them is already on submission and one of them is in edits right now. So have a couple series to come. Just as you know, publishing is weird. You don't know when those books will actually meet the right home and get on the right schedule. So.
Right. Well, this has been a delight, Nova. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can't wait to see you this fall, Labor Day weekend at WriterCon in Oklahoma City.
I can't wait either.
All right. Thanks for being here. See you later.
Yeah.
Just one parting word, and I bet you already know what I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about WriterCon some more. It's August 29th through September 1st. That's Labor Day weekend. It's in Oklahoma City at the Hilton Skirvin, a beautiful, historic, and of course, haunted hotel. We're going to have more than 60 speakers, more than 100 sessions. This is the biggest conference we've put on yet, and if early registrations are any indication, it's going to be the best attended one too. And in addition to all that, we've got contests. We've got pitching, which, by the way, no additional cost. All you got to do is sign up, pitch agents, publishers, whoever you want to talk to. You can have one-on-one consultations with people of your choice, manuscript reviews, and a bunch more stuff. You need to check it out at writercon.com. And here's a tip, because we ran out of t-shirts last year. Now we've got the merch store on the WriterCon site. So you can get your t-shirt beforehand and wear it like I do. And I won't be the only person. Don't let me be lonely. Lara, are you going to wear a t-shirt?
I'm wearing a t-shirt right now. Well, I'm wearing a polo right now. But yes, absolutely. There's a
t-shirt, polo, ball cap, whatever, mugs, whatever. We got it.
Can never have enough.
Polo is a type of shirt.
That's true. But yes, I'm already wearing one. I'm so excited for it. And there's a beautiful one that I didn't get last year that I need. I probably need Katie to hook me up with.
Cool.
Maybe I'll just go buy one off the merch store.
That sounds good. And of course, you can never have too many mugs, right? So.
I don't have a mug problem. You have a mug problem.
I'm going to need to buy those Amazon things where you can put, it's like a cover on top of one mug so you can put another mug on top. We need that in this house right now. I
already stack mugs without that. It's bad. But I'm kind of as bad with t-shirts too, because I really enjoy all my writers' t-shirts, writing t-shirts.
I've got a few too. All right. One way or another, you need to come to WriterCon this year, and I hope you will. I'd like to meet you. All right. Until next time, keep writing. And remember, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. See you next time.